So a while back I came up with ideas, but they required a hole in glass. And if you go to the hardware store, they want to sell you this little thing with a spade bit on the end. It's got a chunk of carbide, and all it's good for really is breaking glass, okay? It'll make big holes, like, because your glass shatters. So I did a little research, came up with some bits. I've had real good luck with them. But for the most part, they're what we call core bits. There's two different ones. There's solid bits and core bits. But most of them all that I use are diamond coated. So you can see this is a stay. It's got a diamond grit on the end, and really you're not drilling a hole so much as you're grinding a hole in the glass. And that keeps it from breaking. Those spade bits get caught, they get jammed, and they bind up. So anyway, that's a core bit, and you can see it has a big hole. The thing is, anybody remember donut holes? That was the best part of the donut. Well, here you can use the donut hole, what comes out of the core, and actually use cabochons and stuff like that. It's kind of a hard way to, it takes a little time to get there, but it's also useful. So the other bits are solid bits, and I've got a package of, there we go, 1.2 millimeter. So you're really tiny bits. You can't have a core in there. For the most part, it's too small and you got to eject it and all that. So these bits here are for, like, if you want to drill jewelry, hanging wires, things like that, real tiny holes. They don't last as long because there's not as much diamond on there, but 65 holes out of one bit, I did a little sample thing. So don't think that you just get one or two out of it if you do things properly. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that today. So here's a little project. It's got not really big holes, but this is a wind chime. Can you hear it? Okay. Anyway, it's got some bigger holes up here because we use chain or sometimes big links, and then it's got little tiny holes down here for the bead wire crimping type setup, and then down here a little bit bigger holes. I'll show you maybe without crashing it. You can see the size of that hole. That was done with a core bit. Okay, these holes that are for the bead wire, trust me, they're little tiny holes. But anyway, so this is some of the stuff you can do with it. I've got projects I've done where you can buy clock inserts. And so you can take and slump something and put a clock insert in there and just mystify today's youth because they have no idea what the little hands and stuff mean. And you can decipher it for them and tell them the time, and they're like, wow, that matches my phone. How did you do that? Okay, so little humor there. Is this Friday yet? My good humor comes in weekly on Friday. So bear with me on this. All right, so about actually drilling. Now, if you read a lot on the internet or talk to people, they say, oh, you got to drill underwater. And I'm like, you know, by the time you buy the snorkel, the fins, and find a pool, it gets expensive. You don't have to drill underwater. You have to keep the bit wet, okay? So I'm going to show you right now. Because I've only got like 45 minutes, and if you know me, I could probably talk a lot longer than that. So I'm going to show you a real basic way to drill, and it won't require flippers or a snorkel. First of all, I've got a fairly good sized bit here. I just picked it out of the bit box. It's been used a little bit, so it's not going to drill real fast. And I've got a water supply. And I'll show you how this works, maybe, if you can see. All right. Now, one thing that happens, though, when you've got a big bit like this, and you put it on the glass, it wants to walk across the glass. And if that's your real project, and you want the hole over here, and all of a sudden you got this scratch there, unless you're doing a comet, you know, it's not going to look good. So you need to control it. The bigger bits are a little harder to control from walking, so you can do it by hand or in a drill press. That helps. But getting the drill press in the swimming pool is always a problem. So there are different guides and stuff. This is a simple one I've got. And so what it is, it's a way to keep that bit from walking. So what I'm going to do, you can make putty dams around it to get a lot of water. But my drill doesn't spin very fast, and it doesn't throw the water everywhere. As long as you keep, with a slow speed like this, as long as you keep that bit wet and it's not dust coming off, it's a slurry, you're okay. So without talking too much, let me add a little bit of water to that. And if you have a friend watching, you can let them do the water. It makes them feel like they're part of the process. Okay. Normally I don't stop, but you can see I've got a little crescent started there. So I'm going in an angle to get that started. So it's getting a little groovy. So I'm going to gradually go up to vertical, and the thumping sound you hear is because this bit has a lot of slots at the bottom and it's hitting that guide. So it's not really that rough when it's going. So you get back in here. I should have had my manicure done this week. It's scheduled for next week, so. And like a good doctor, you need patience to do this, okay? Tough crowd. All right, so once I'm groovy, I got a groove there. I don't have to worry so much about it walking. I can go vertical. I'm going to scoot it over. Hopefully you can see what's going on. And I'm just going to kind of ease it around a little bit. By easing it around a bit, you're actually angling the drill. You're making the hole just a little bit larger and the core inside a little smaller. It makes it easier to get out. And by the way, you should hold on to the glass. And you in the front row, catch it and you keep it. All right, so now you can see I've got a hole and I've got the core actually stayed there. Sometimes you have these little extra glass there that sticks out. Be careful of that. But that's basically drilling in a nutshell, or drilling in front of a bunch of people in a nutshell. But you see, I didn't have to have a lot of water. Just keep with a slow speed of a drill like this, you don't have to worry about burning up the bit. This is nothing special, by the way. This is a very old, very compact, battery-operated, low-power drill. You don't have to have anything. If you're using a quarter drill, they work great too. You got a little more weight, so let just the weight of the drill and usually your arm, don't press too hard, because then what happens is you end up breaking the glass if you press too hard, possibly. Okay. So that was drilling with a larger bit and doing that. So, small holes. So what I've got here is a plastic tub. Imagine that, okay? That's my pool. And in the bottom of it, I put a piece of just scrap glass in the bottom of it. That is to accomplish a couple things. If you've got somebody helping you, like your son, that keeps him from drilling through the top of the table, the work table. That's my son sitting in the front row, and that's him laughing. Because yes, there's 2 circle marks on the top of my table where he drilled through, not once, but twice. So put a piece of glass on the bottom, scrap glass. It also keeps a flat surface, because if you've got a big piece of glass and you're drilling on it, you're pushing here and it's like this, you're putting pressure in the middle of it, chance of breakage. So that piece of glass supports your piece of glass, and so you can do that. I do have the rubber mat in there so that I know when I go through, I can tell. It also keeps it from sliding around if you're doing like cabochons for jewelry. That rubber mat in there gives a little cushion and it kind of keeps it where it's supposed to be. Now, I'm going to use a high-speed Dremel tool as opposed to the low-speed Dremel tool, okay? I usually crank mine up all the way, because with these small bits, you got to remember there's not a lot of grip on the tip of that. You're talking 2 or 3 little chunks, whereas this, you got a whole big ring, and the speed is a little faster on it. Here, it's just spinning little tiny circles, so it takes a little, it's a different thing going on there. How we doing?
You're great.
Good. This is my cameraman. Your name is?
Mike.
Mike. Thank Mike for doing this.
Always.
Right. So, I usually run on full speed. Because of that though, if that thing cavitates or you don't have any water for a split second, you might see a little tiny glow. That glow is it just melted a little bit of glass. sometimes that's preceded by a snapping sound. That might be your glass breaking because you've heated it and now you've cooled it with the water. The other thing you'll do is you'll wipe the diamonds off instantly off of here. So you need to have a fair amount of water, maybe a ½ inch above, so you always have good water when you're using a high speed because it wants to throw that water away from the cutting process. So some of you might worry about a corded tool in a puddle of water like the swimming pool thing. So try not to dunk this in the water while you're using it. It's kind of hard on the equipment and the nervous system. So I usually rest my arms on the tub. I did make, if I brought it, it's way over there. I made a rest that sits on my tub and I put my hand on it because I run a class and I can do it, but sometimes the students like to dump the equipment. All right, so here we go. All the way on. I'm going to start off at a little short cord. Story of my life. I'll start a little bit at an angle and I'll go up and just straight through it. I'm not pressing hard, I'm letting the weight of the Dremel go through. That's all there is to it. Now, let me get a fresh bit. I've got one of those adjustable collets like that. That bit is from another other demo, and let's see if a fresh bit will make it go any faster. Well, maybe I count those? About 7? I think less than maybe 45 seconds. Okay. Looks like somebody hit it with a shot. Oh, here. Looks like somebody hit it with a shotgun there. Okay. So the bits, if you don't wipe them off completely, they'll still drill holes. It just gets slower. And but you can see I punched those through pretty fast. And so anyway. And I didn't break a piece of glass yet, which is pretty amazing as far as I'm concerned. All right. Now, sometimes you want to use a larger bit, and this guy here doesn't control it quite well. So if you want to do like large clocks or bigger holes in glass for whatever reason, there's a device that looks like this, and it's a drill guide. And with it, your bit goes in here, you lock this down, and it has 4 bearings, and those bearings, the bit spins in there, and the bit can't go anywhere. Plus, it comes with a suction cup right here that clamps down your glass, which is really great unless you're trying to do a small piece of glass, a 3-inch circle, and punching a big hole in the middle to make a donut again. So, some smart guy out there, well, reasonably smart guy, actually just a common sense individual, came up with a little device that this clamps onto this platform. Your glass, whatever size, goes in here, and then your bit's held up here. So with that, you're able to control a large bit and small glass, and it doesn't have to be clamped down to it. So it's a pro platform and a drill guide. So there are other ways to make larger holes and control the bit rather than just using the smaller guide or hands. In a drill press, you do eliminate a lot of that. You just have to be careful because if the bit catches, then your glass wants to spin, so you want to make sure you got something on your hand that you don't get cut or something like that. Okay. Sorry about that. Right now, I don't know if everybody takes questions. I take questions from the audience right here. Is there anything I didn't cover or you want to see particularly? Yes, ma'am.
Sea glass. I was trying to drill holes for sea glass, and I got to like one piece of sea glass, and I removed the bit. One
Ruin the bit? Yeah. How thick is your sea glass? About 3/8 to 1/2 inch thick. Yeah, you need to find a different ocean to get your sea glass out. Okay. When you got it that thick, what happens is it's hard to get water down to the bottom of the hole. So I'm thinking that it's all fine, but when it gets down, so you have to bring it up and flush water in there. The other thing you can do is try to drill from the other side. Okay, don't go to the other side of the room, the other side of the glass, and try from both ways. If you've ever seen professional holes drilled, when you drill this way, you're always going to get a little chip out on the other side. When it goes through, you can try slow, ease up on the pressure, eliminates that chip out, but it's not as always clean as the front side. You ever seen where the holes are perfect? What they've got is a drill setup where they drill from the top and bottom. They perfectly align, and they do them at the same time. So they start holes from both sides in the middle. It's a professional high-dollar setup, but that's how they get nice, clean holes both ways. You could do it from both sides and see if that kind of helps out. Yeah. Another question, anybody? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll get to you. Yes, ma'am. Right. Okay. This person up in the front, I was trying to think of some incredible adjective here. But this wonderful person up front just asked a question. She wants to do pendant lights. How do you get the hole in the top? Some people go, oh, well, you do it first. No, because when the glass slumps, that hole's going to change remarkably. So you have to do it after it's done. Same way, I go ahead and I probably would use this on top if I could get it to work. Or sometimes I just put it in the middle of my hand because it's not really going to hurt you. And find a way to get everybody happy, and then start doing your drilling and just take it easy on it. If the pendant light is open enough on the bottom, you could always get a piece of wood block that goes up in that light, and that supports that middle, because if you've got a pendant light and it does all sorts of ruffly things at the bottom, it's hard to sit here and get a good shot at it. So get a post that goes up, mount it on somewhere on a table, set that pendant light so you're just pressing down right where you need to be, and then give it the squirt bottle, go easy on it, and you should be okay with that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Which trap tool do you use to drill small?
Okay. I'm sorry, the last part? Oh, okay. The question is, am I using a ball bit or a straight bit on the end to drill a hole with the Dremel? You can do either. This is straight on the end. Yeah, as if you could see that. Anyway, so if you would look at it, it's just a straight bit and there's no point on the end. A ball bit actually has a diamond-coated little ball on the end. Some people like to use those for drilling because you can go in at any angle. It doesn't tend to wash, especially in small ones, wash at all. And sometimes the water gets to it differently. I usually just use the straight ones because they're, I don't know, that's what I grew up with, I guess. But you can also use the ball ones. They don't have a coated shank so much very long because you're cutting right basically with the end. I can't think of a real advantage one way or the other. So yeah. Next question. Hey. This part or the bit? Where do you get that? This guy? This is Hardware Home Center. Yeah, it's not special to the glass industry. This drill they don't make anymore. I like it's nice and compact. But my wife's got one that's a little bigger than this. But all you have to do is make sure that the chuck here will accept up to about a 1/2 inch. I think 3/8 is about the biggest I have. And actually 3/8 would probably cover about everything. So yeah, you can go to any store or place that sells tools. They'll have, this is a bad cordless drill. It's not specific at all. I like it because it fits in my toolbox and it doesn't make a lot of noise. Some of them are a little noisier and I'm trying to do a demo or trying to catch the Cubs game and listen to them lose again. So yes, another question from somebody. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned using a drill press.
Mm-hmm.
I find that when I do that, I get more pressure on the bottom. I get more chip because I
Okay. The comment is when she's using her drill press to do this, she's getting more chipping on the backside. I think it also might happen to do, you've got a quill handle that adjusts the quill up and down. With that, you kind of lose the fine touch with the process. In other words, here I can kind of feel when it's about ready to go through. I can feel a little roughness in it. With this, you don't get that finesse, and I think you're punching through at the end. You're not able to lighten up a little bit at the end, and you're pressing a little hard, and that's pushing it through and chipping out a little more. Because that one I did here, I was doing something else, and all of a sudden I realized it was almost done, and that's when it went through. And I would have liked to have lightened up a little bit, so I grind a little bit more evenly all the way around. So I think you're distancing yourself. You're not getting that feel with the drill press. But again, it's common. The other thing about drill presses, you got to watch. A lot of them have cast iron tables and stuff like that, and they don't like water. So you want to make sure that you got to keep them dry. If it's got aluminum table, it works out better. Next question. Anybody? All right. Okay. If there are any questions, I must have covered it all then, eh? All right. Good golly, I have 5 minutes. I could dance, I could sing, or I could just look on the table and make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, my comment is, my son said, keep your mouth shut, don't sing. Yeah. All right. Oh, to start out with? Oh, wait a minute, or this. Okay. I manufacture these myself. Yeah. I sell them. Oh, by the way, I don't want to give you a commercial. A lot of this, I've got a booth 505 way over in the corner over there. It's a big dog and pony show, but everything I showed you here pretty much is for sale in the booth. So if you want to buy bits or talk to me over there after, there's the drill guide and the V grip and the bits. I won't sell you my drill though, sorry. It's all available over there, and I can answer more questions if you're too shy or you think of something later. Booth 505, just as far as you can go that way, and then come back 10 feet. So, you've been a great audience for me today. Nobody threw any rotten fruit at me, and I appreciate that because I've got all I need.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great time at the show. Thank you.